Hello appraisers, this is Brandon with Spark for Appraisers, and in this Synapse Spotlight video, we're going to be covering the View Modify data screen, which you get to right here. Now, in order to get to that screen that we're going to be talking about, you do have to be on the dataset screen, which you can get to from anywhere in Synapse using the menu option here. And before I actually open up and get into that View Modify data screen, show you how to use it and show you what it can do, I do want to point out, just because we're going to be talking about the different data sources for the properties we're looking at, you can get to the data source settings right here when you're on the dataset screen, and on any other screen, you get to it through the gear icon. It'll be right around here. So anyways, you can go check out the data source settings screen. It's how you customize your defaults for every feature of a property, whether you want it to use MLS data by default or public records data by default. All right, so let's get into it. Now I'm going to click this gear icon, click View Modified Data, and now we're on the screen I want to show you. So first of all, pretty straightforward. It shows you all the properties. Now I have, I think, a little over 200, and there's 100 on each page, so you can go look at the various pages and it shows all the properties. Now, what it does is it starts with the MLS number. It has the identifying information of the property, the address, the parcel ID, and then what we get to is the sale price, sale date, and contract date. And those are all fixed fields. And then after that, what it has is a column for every feature that you're having Synapse analyze to try and get an adjustment for. So I'm trying to get an adjustment for lot size, GLA, full bath, pool type, blah, blah, blah. So because I'm analyzing those, whatever that is, 8 different features, these are the 8 columns that show up. So I can actually go and see the data that's being used to calculate those results back on the results screen. And if I want to, I can actually add more columns. So if for some reason, even though you're only analyzing these 8 features, you want to add more, you can just click Add Column, go and find whatever feature it is that you want to see, whether it's FEMA special flood hazard area or whatever it is that you want to, whoops, didn't mean to do that, whatever it is you want to take a look at, just go find that, add that in, and then Synapse will show it here. So let's just go and add in, say, patio areas. And there we go. All right, so that's what we have for patio areas. And then what else do you see here? You've probably have noticed that there we have these red dots. And so basically these red dots indicate when there is a discrepancy between MLS and public records. And it does show you that down here at the bottom left. So I can see that if I hover over right here, it says 1954 is public records, but MLS says 1794. If I want to, I can go in and modify that and change it to 1794 or change it to something else altogether. But this red dot is just to let you know when there is a discrepancy between the 2 different data sources. So now let's go ahead and get into editing the data. So let's say back on this one, I want to change this to what MLS says. I can just double click on it. I can change it to what MLS said, which is 1794, and then I exit that field and now it's updated. And so, by the way, also any change I make on the screen, whether it's removing a property or editing any feature of a property, once I leave this screen, it's going to go and recalculate everything so that all the results on the results screen are now based on the updated information that I've entered onto this screen here. One thing I didn't show you is that it will tell you what data set you're looking at right here at the very top. So I'm looking at my competing properties data set. Okay, so I've shown you how you can edit a numeric field, which is really straightforward. You just double click on it. And by the way, it tells you that right here. You just double click on the field, but some fields are a little different. In some fields, like swimming pool, for example, there is a drop down. I can double click that and it will bring up this little drop down and I can choose what I want it to be. So for example, if this property actually didn't have a pool, I would click none. Now, I should also point out that this drop down is specific to your MLS. So some MLSs have more options than this. In my particular MLS, we just have these 2, but yours might say something like indoor pool, fenced pool, pool, and none, or whatever. So just be aware that it is different per MLS. And then one other thing to point out is that you also have options where you can have more than one. So this drop down for pool, you can only choose one thing, but over in patio areas, we can have multiple options. So I might say I have a covered patio, and I also have a balcony. And then I can just choose nothing if I wanted to and make it none. So now it'll say none, but I can click back into it. Let's say I want to say it has both of those. I click done, and now it shows the balcony and the covered patio. And then last, when you modify a date, what happens is when I double click that, it pops up with this little date picker. I click it, I choose my date or type it in manually and hit done, and it will update that there. Let me deselect everything. Okay, so let's say you found a property that you just want to get rid of. So I don't know, let's say you didn't like this property right here. You didn't mean to include it, you didn't want to include it, you just click it, you can see that it highlights it, and then you can choose to delete it. So I can click delete, say yes, do it, and now that property is deleted, and it will not be used in any of the calculations. However, and I should point this out now, is all of this information will go into your digital work file. So we have a document called property information. It will include all the properties you've deleted, every single edit you made, so you know what you edited versus what just came straight from MLS or public records. And it will also include all your data source settings. So what you wanted to use as your data source for bedroom count, whether it was MLS or public records, what you wanted to use for bathrooms, whether it was MLS or public records, and so on. It will have all of that information in that document that goes into your digital work file. But let's say now that you want to modify multiple. So let's say you found these. All you do is you just click on them, and then you can hit delete selected. So now I can go and delete all 4 of those properties. Do that, and now they're gone. And by the way, if you decide you made a mistake and you didn't mean to delete those properties, you can click where it says View Deleted Properties, and you can go find the ones you did not mean to delete and hit Recover. And now that will move them back over into the properties that Synapse will use for the calculations. I'm still looking at my deleted, but I can now go to View Included, and I'm good to go. Now, a few more things. One is you can sort by anything. So if I want to sort by, let's say, sale price, maybe I want to go find an outlier or something and remove a property. I can sort by sale price. All you do is you click the header, sale price. It sorts it low to high. Click it again, sorts it high to low. So I could maybe go find that one weird property that was really high and just do that by sorting and then click it and remove it. I can do the same thing with dates, sort it low to high and high to low, and anything else, whether it's zip code, address, or whatever. And while we're talking about that, I should also note that you can search. So if I want to, I could narrow it down to all properties on Madero Avenue. And so I type in Madero, it automatically updates this to all the properties that were on Madero. I can do the same thing with a parcel number. Let's say I wanted to find all the properties that started with the parcel number 30504. So I can just type in 30504. And there we go. Now I'm just looking at those properties. So anyways, that's how that works. Let's see, what else is there to talk about here? I believe we're almost done. So really, the next thing is to show you how, I showed you how you can manually edit a field when there's a discrepancy, but you can also change your data source right here. So we have that data source setting screen, which I showed you. It's kind of grayed out right now, but you can go in there and change what your data source setting is. But I can do that right here as well. So if I'm finding that, here, let's go, like right here, I have all these are discrepancies, and it's really because my MLS doesn't show total rooms, but my public records source does, and so that's why it's red. But let's say it was the opposite, and I did not want to use public records. I only wanted to use MLS because I'm noting that, you know what, it looks like MLS is much more accurate, so I want to go and change that. All you do is you click right here where it says public records for whatever data source you want, and it says we're going to switch this for total rooms to MLS. Would you like to save this change permanently? So I can either hit yes, meaning it will save that change permanently, hit no, meaning it won't save it permanently, but it will save it right here because I told it to, or I can just cancel altogether. So I'm going to hit no, so I don't want to save it permanently. And now it's switched everything over to MLS for that feature. And now one other thing to point out is you can see that pool type doesn't have it. And that's only because for pool type right now, Synapse does not have public records data for swimming pool. It only has MLS. So there is no option here to swap between the two different sources because there aren't two different sources. All right. I believe that covers everything. Thanks everybody for watching.